I joined the White House staff in January 1987. I was working for President Reagan as his Africa advisor. And within 1 week, I went to Africa with Secretary of State George Shultz. Our first stop was Liberia. And we met several times with President Doe. And I was present in all of these meetings, and we found President Doe to be very upset with the U.S. He felt that we weren't helping Liberia enough, we weren't supporting him, and he said that he was America's best friend in Africa, and therefore he thought we were not recognizing this. Secretary Shultz's main objective was to persuade President Doe that they needed some sort of improvements in their budgetary systems, in their fiscal systems, in their management. Otherwise, we would not be able to give aid to Liberia. You know, U.S. aid has to be accounted for, it has to be audited and what have you, and there were absolutely no systems. So he persuaded President Doe to accept a group of American experts to come and help set up an accounting system for the government. And then we left. It was all a very friendly visit. Secretary Shultz was robed as a chief and what have you. Experts came, and after 6 months, the U.S. ambassador asked me to come over and talk to President Doe because he was not cooperating with these experts. And so I went over, I saw President Doe. I said, in order to have a good relationship and to get U.S. assistance, he should accept the advice of these experts who had come and helped set up all of these accounting systems. But it didn't work out, so the U.S. ambassador sent the experts home. And so there was really no change in the relationship. It was friendly, but we really weren't doing much. I think most of what we were doing was help to the Army. We had a military assistance team there. We were providing uniforms, vehicles, and what have you. I did not pay that much attention to Liberia while I was working in the White House. And then President Bush came into office, and he asked me to be Undersecretary for African Affairs, which I assumed those duties in April of 1989. And I immediately plunged into some active conflicts going on: Sudan, Ethiopia, Angola, Mozambique. And I was not doing much with Liberia at the time. But on Christmas Eve of 1989, there was this group of guerrillas came in to Nimba County from neighboring Cote d'Ivoire and started shooting and proclaiming that they were coming in to get rid of Samuel Doe. We knew that these guerrilla fighters had been trained in Libya and that their arms had come from Burkina Faso, and they were getting full support from Ivory Coast. So they had full access to the territory of Ivory Coast, and they were using that as a base, and they were coming in to attack the government of Samuel Doe. Our first reports were that the army, Liberian army, was trying to counter these guerrillas, and that they were using a very unfortunate tactic, which was wherever guerrillas were spotted, they would, in a village, they would go in and burn down the whole village and kill all the people there, fellow Liberians. And this got us very upset. So we decided to send U.S. military people out with the Liberian army. These were people from the U.S. mission, military assistance mission, to help them deal with this conflict without killing innocent people and committing human rights violations. We did that. We sent people out. But when this became known in the United States, there was a lot of objection posed by people in the United States, especially people from the Liberian diaspora, who said that we were helping the government of Doe fight the guerrillas, and the guerrillas were trying to get rid of Doe, so therefore we should not do that. There appeared to be a great deal of opposition to Doe within the diaspora, and they were calling their congressmen and what have you. So as a result of that, we withdrew the advisors from the Liberian army, and therefore the atrocities continued against villages that had guerrillas operating from them. Because of the Liberian army atrocities, of the incoming guerrillas led by Charles Taylor were able to gather a lot of support from young people who were saying they're killing our people in the villages. So they joined Charles Taylor's guerrilla force, and it expanded, and it started to expand. So by, I would say by the middle of April of 1990, they had expanded and taken over a great deal of Liberian territory. We tried to engage in diplomatic mediation. The government of Samuel Doe sent a team over to Washington led by Winston Tubman to talk about what could be done. And we also had a representative, Charles Taylor, who was living in New Jersey at the time, Mr. Woiyu, I'm not pronouncing it right. He was living in New Jersey, and he came to Washington representing Charles Taylor. And we were discussing Taylor's demands that Doe step down and that there be a new election. And Taylor's demand was, as soon as Doe steps down and resigns, we will stop fighting and we'll just go for an election.